The first time I noticed it, it was nothing more than a whisper. Barely there, a sound so ordinary it should have slipped past me. But it didn't. It stuck. The way her voice softened when her phone lit up. The way her lips curved at something that didn't belong to us. That's when the air around me shifted. As if the room itself knew something I didn't. We were at dinner, my wife Emma and I, along with my younger sister, Claire. The three of us sat around the table, laughter spilling in the spaces between bites of pasta and sips of wine. It was one of those evenings that should have felt warm, unshakable. Until her phone rang. Emma glanced at it quickly, too quickly, then excused herself with a smile that felt rehearsed. She stood and walked toward the kitchen, her voice dipping into a tone I hadn't heard in years. Playful. Secretive. Almost teenage in its giddiness. I tried to keep eating, to pretend nothing was wrong. But Claire caught my eye. I could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her fork stilled on her plate. She wasn't listening to me anymore. She was listening to Emma. And then it happened. Claire's face changed. The color drained from her cheeks. And her eyes widened like she'd just heard something she wasn't supposed to. What is it? I whispered, my chest tightening. Claire shook her head quickly, her lips pressing into a thin line. But I knew. She had heard something. Something I wasn't meant to. The meal ended in silence that night. Emma returned to the table with that same bright smile, acting as though nothing had happened, as though her whispered conversation hadn't left my sister pale and tense. Claire barely touched her food after that. And when Emma excused herself again to grab something upstairs, Claire leaned toward me. You need to ask her, she whispered. My stomach dropped. Ask her what? Claire hesitated, torn between protecting me and breaking me. Her voice was soft, trembling. That wasn't a work call, Michael. She said she loved him. I stared at her, every sound in the house falling away. My fork slipped from my hand, clattering against the plate. Loved him. Not loved you. Not loved me. Loved him. For weeks, I had brushed off the little things. The late nights at the office. The careful way she locked her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. The sudden interest in new clothes, new perfume. I told myself it was stress, that she was simply trying to bring life back into herself. But Claire's words tore through every lie I'd fed myself. That night, when Emma slid into bed beside me, I lay awake, rigid, pretending to be asleep. Her breathing evened out quickly, as though guilt weighed nothing on her chest. I wanted to reach out, to shake her, to demand the truth. But I couldn't. My body was heavy with disbelief. Instead, I studied her face in the dim light. The same face I had fallen in love with years ago. The face I had promised to protect, to cherish. But now I wondered. Who did that face belong to when I wasn't looking? Days passed. My emotions swung like a pendulum. Love, hate, denial, rage. I would catch myself watching her cook, remembering how gentle she had been the first time we kissed. Then I would remember Claire's voice, those words that cut like glass. She said she loved him. I began noticing details I had once ignored. The way Emma texted in the bathroom with the door locked. The faint smell of cologne on her scarf, one that wasn't mine. The way she seemed both restless and radiant after work trips. But still, I couldn't confront her. Not yet. I needed proof, something undeniable. Because part of me still clung to hope, desperate to believe my sister had misheard. The proof came sooner than I expected. One evening, Emma stepped out for groceries. Her phone buzzed on the counter a minute later. She had forgotten it. My chest tightened as I stared at the screen. A message preview glowed. Him. Last night was perfect. I can't wait to see you again. My hands shook as I unlocked the phone. The thread was full, months of messages, photos, words meant for someone else. Words that used to belong to me. And then the final nail. Emma, I love you more than I ever thought possible. My throat burned, my vision blurred. I set the phone down before I smashed it against the wall. That's when I realized the truth wasn't just betrayal. It was abandonment. She hadn't just cheated. She had already left me in her heart. That night, I couldn't pretend anymore. When she returned, I was waiting. Who is he? I asked, my voice sharp but trembling. Her grocery bag slipped from her hand, apples scattering across the floor. For a moment, her eyes were wide with fear. Then something else, resignation. She didn't even deny it. I didn't want you to find out like this, she whispered. The words hit harder than any denial could have. She hadn't wanted me to find out. Not that it wasn't true. Not that she loved me still. Just that I wasn't supposed to know. I demanded answers. She gave me fragments. Loneliness, disconnection. A desire to feel alive again. Words that stabbed and twisted, making me question whether our marriage had meant anything at all. Do you love him? I asked finally. Silence. Then softly, yes. In that moment, something inside me shattered beyond repair. All the memories, the promises, the years we had built together, they crumbled. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I simply nodded, my chest hollow. Then you don't love me anymore. Tears welled in her eyes, but I couldn't find sympathy. She had already given away what was mine to someone else. The days after felt unreal. I moved through the house like a ghost, packing boxes in silence, sleeping in the guest room. Claire checked in constantly, her worry palpable. You don't deserve this, she said. But the truth was, I didn't know what I deserved anymore. I only knew that I couldn't share a home with a stranger. The last night we spent under the same roof, I found myself standing at the dining table, the same spot where it had all unraveled. The plates were gone, the laughter long since faded. But I could still hear her voice in my memory, soft and secretive, telling another man she loved him. I realized then that betrayal doesn't just destroy trust. It rewrites your memories. Every smile, every kiss, every whispered promise now carried a shadow. When I finally walked out the door with my suitcase, I didn't look back. Because the truth was simple, brutal, and final. The woman I loved no longer existed. And the silence she left behind was louder than any confession she could have made.